Good morning. I'm Dr. Cynthia from the Department of Teacher Education in the College of Education and Professional Studies. This morning I'm presenting Shelby, Cain, and Maddison Martin, who are two undergrads in our special education teacher preparation program. They're going to present some projects that they created in their first semester of the teacher ed program, the AAC class.
Good morning, my name is Maddison Martin.
And my name is Shelby Cain, and today we're going to be talking to you about why communication is key. So what is communication? The word communication stems from communis, which basically means to share. So communicating is all about sharing.
So how would you feel if you couldn't speak? How would you communicate your thoughts, your needs, your wants? It would be very difficult, in my opinion, to present those to someone who couldn't understand you.
So today we're going to be talking about AAC devices. AAC stands for Augmented and Alternative Communication, and this ranges from aided to unaided devices, which we're going to discuss today.
So who can use an AAC? Basically, anyone can use an AAC device, but it's typically more common with the nonverbal students or the low communication students. So here's a list of the devices we will be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the switch, a PEX board, a GoTalk, sounding board, and the use of sign language. So what is the switch? So the switch is this button right here, and it connects to the iPad via Bluetooth. And it's really common for the students who have low fine motor skills to really point out a option on the iPad to press. So they have the option to hit this button and it'll select them for it. Let's see. So we have created a sounding board, which is another type of communication device that you can create yourself. You can record the different options that you want the student to have. So in my practicum setting, I was at Helen Keller, and the students were mostly nonverbal, some of them, and so we did a math lesson. And so you see here, we presented it by visual of sign language, just so they could understand too. But then the students who were low functioning had the option to use the switch to select their visual.
Again.
So if you would ask them a question, they can reply using these. So if they couldn't hear you, they would just,
I didn't hear you.
yes. And then to use the switch with this, they would just press the switch and it would select it for them instead of pointing on the iPad.
So the next AAC device we're going to be talking about is the PEX board. PEX stands for Picture Exchange Communication System, and this is really unique to other communication systems because I'll show you with Maddison. She's going to be my student, and she's going to communicate something to me. Maddison said that she wanted to play. So what's unique about the PEX system is that the learner actually handed it to the communicative partner. Instead of just looking at it, maybe pointing at it, something like that, they're actually showing that intent behind that communication. Okay, and our next AAC device is the GoTalk. And we didn't actually get the chance to do the GoTalk in our practicum setting, but we did do it with our classroom and our peers. So we read to our students, "I Can Read With My Eyes Shut" by Dr. Seuss, and it's basically saying, how can you read? I can read. We have in red with my eyes shut. It's basically comprehension. So we use the Go Talk for that comprehension. So Maddison's gonna be my nonverbal student. I'll make sure it's on. So we're reading the story. I'm asking Maddison, Maddison, how can you read?
I can read with my eyes shut.
So Maddison says she could read with her eyes shut. And she told me that even though she's nonverbal. And something interesting about this Go Talk as well is we created this piece of paper and we recorded our sound, our voices over it. I accidentally pressed that. So that's really interesting about the Go Talk.
And then lastly, we have ASL. Most people commonly know ASL only for the deaf community. In my practicum setting, I had a nonverbal student who communicated through simple signs from ASL. So maybe he fell and got hurt on the playground. He would then come up to me and just do the sign for hurt. And this is the sign for hurt. Or I could ask him a question at lunch, like, do you want milk? And he would sign yes. So that's also a very good option that I think everyone should know basic needs and wants of sign and sign language.
Here's our reference page. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do we have questions for our speakers? Okay, so you talked about the was it the PEX, or what's the one with the buttons? The keyboard?
The
What do you
Go
can record?
Talk?
So that one seems really nice because it's very configurable, right?
Yes.
You can record whatever audio makes sense for you. And then kind of slide, this looks like yeah, that's really interesting. But that one still requires them to have reasonable motor skills to get to the spots, right?
It does, yes.
Maybe a little less than a tablet, I guess.
Yes.
What about, I want to hear more about this, the one where you pulled the little pieces off, the PEX.
The PEX board?
What's the advantage of that?
The PEX board is awesome. We are actually registered behavior technicians, so we work in an ABA clinic. So we use this a lot. We weren't able to use it in our practicum setting, but we use this a lot in our clinic setting. So we mainly deal with children with autism that are nonverbal, and it happens in 6 phases. So it can go all the way to where you have a sentence strip right here at the bottom, and they can put sentences together on the strip and then hand you the sentence. So I just think it's really neat because they're not just, a lot of the times you get students who are just, they don't really care what you're talking about, and they're just gonna point at something because they want you to, I don't know, they know you want to answer, right? So, but with this, they're making that clear that they want Let's Play and they're handing it to you.
And one of my experience I had with the PEX board, it looked kind of different from this. It just had one of these, and it said choice. And so the way we kind of got the client to learn how to operate a PEX board was he loved to watch Moana on TV. And so we would pause the TV, and he would go, we taught him to go to his PEX board, grab that choice card, and hand it to us, and then we would unpause the TV. So that was letting him know, hey, I need to come and grab this if I want something, because he was nonverbal, and his parents were pretty upset because they didn't know how to communicate with their child. And so we introduced them to this. He's now in school learning how to use a communication device like a sounding board.
I think as somebody outside of special education, it may not be obvious, certainly not to me, that there's a big difference in being able to point and being able to hand.
Yes.
So like, I think you guys were breezing by it, just like, oh yeah, well of course there's a big difference, but I think that difference may not be, like, that's something you should really sell because I didn't get it. Yeah, and like that's a really helpful thing to know.
Yes. Because you want that intent with your client. You want that eye contact, you want them to be engaged with you, you want them to know you personally.
Yeah.
So I think effect sport is great.
And it's gonna help with those behaviors too.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times whenever we have nonverbal students, they get really angry that they can't communicate their feelings.
It's very aggressive.
And that's exactly why we use all of these AAC devices. To help them communicate. That's what we're all about.
Yes. Communication is key. Do we have any more questions?
All right, let's thank our speakers.
Thank you.